Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Imagine this. It's November 1900 in the Colorado Rockies. 600 residents of a thriving mining town wake up to discover their water supply has completely vanished overnight. Not a drought, not a natural disaster. One man, W.J. Keem, has just declared war on an entire community by building an illegal dam. He's about to learn that messing with the wrong town can land you in jail for fish murder. Yes, fish murder. But this incredible tale of frontier justice is just one chapter in the wild story of Crestone, Colorado, a town that refused to die, even when powerful landowners, federal marshals, and Mother Nature herself tried to kill it twice. Welcome to a story of Spanish kings and land grants, boom-bust gold rushes, water wars, and some of the most colorful characters the American West ever produced. This is Crestone, where survival meant fighting everyone from your neighbors to the United States government. Our story begins in the 1870s, when prospectors with nothing but pickaxes, dreams, and determination began trickling into the remote slopes of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. The name itself, Blood of Christ, should have been their first warning. In 1879, fortune smiled on these hardy souls. Deep in the rocky earth, they struck genuine gold prospects that sparkled with promise. Word spread like wildfire, and suddenly the slopes swarmed with humanity. Tents sprouted like mushrooms. Saloons appeared overnight. The town of Crestone was born fast, loud, and absolutely convinced it would last forever. 2,000 souls called Crestone home at its peak. The railroad came calling, extending a spur line from Moffat to carry out precious ore and bring in supplies. For a brief moment, Crestone looked like it might become one of Colorado's permanent success stories. But the mountain had other plans. As miners dug deeper, chasing veins of gold into the earth's heart, the ore began to disappear. What had seemed like unlimited wealth revealed itself to be nature's cruel joke, rich on the surface, barren below. One by one, miners packed up their tools and broken dreams. The saloons fell silent. By the mid-1880s, Crestone was becoming just another Colorado ghost town, empty buildings slowly surrendering to wind and weather. Most towns would have stayed dead. Crestone had other ideas. In 1890, just when the last optimists were ready to abandon hope, miners struck something that changed everything: free-milling gold. This wasn't just any gold. This was the kind that could be processed easily and cheaply, the kind that made men rich and towns immortal. The news exploded through Colorado's mining networks like dynamite, and suddenly, Crestone was back from the dead. This second boom made the first look like a practice run. The town rebuilt itself bigger and better. Multiple saloons competed for miners' pay. General stores did booming business. A hotel rose to accommodate investors and businessmen. The railroad spur, nearly abandoned, suddenly became the lifeline carrying liquid gold to markets across the country. By 1900, Crestone's population had swelled to 2,000 residents again. Miners, merchants, families, and fortune seekers from across America. The town buzzed with activity 24 hours a day. It seemed like Crestone had finally achieved permanence. But this resurrection came with a problem that traced its roots back to European royalty and the complex web of land ownership that would nearly destroy the town for good. To understand what happened next, we need to travel back to 1823, when King Ferdinand of Spain granted an enormous tract of land to Don Luis Maria Cabeza de Vaca and his family. The original grant encompassed territory stretching to Las Vegas, New Mexico. When Mexico won independence, it honored these grants. When the United States acquired the territory after the Mexican-American War, American law continued recognizing these Spanish and Mexican land claims. What seemed like ancient history became very real when gold was discovered within the Luis Maria Baca Grant. The Baca family, the name simplified over decades, owned not just the land but everything beneath it, and they had no intention of letting squatters steal their birthright. The mineral vein supporting Crestone and 4 other mining towns stretched 25 miles along the Sangre de Cristo Range. Every mile lay within the Baca Grant. When the family exercised their legal rights, they brought in federal marshals and systematically threw out every miner, businessman, and resident who couldn't prove legitimate ownership. Crestone sat squarely within the northeastern edge of the grant. The message was simple: pack up and move, or face federal law enforcement. Imagine an entire town, 2,000 people who had built homes, businesses, and lives, suddenly told they were trespassers. Some residents had been there 20 years. They had marriage certificates, birth certificates, business licenses, property deeds, all meaningless against a piece of paper signed by a Spanish king decades earlier. Walter E. Perkins, Crestone's postmaster from 1900 to 1940, witnessed the traumatic process. He watched federal marshals arrive like an occupying army, systematically evicting families. The nearby town of Liberty, sometimes called Duncan, received identical treatment. One by one, these seemingly permanent communities simply evaporated. But Crestone's residents had survived 2 boom-bust cycles and weren't about to surrender to a centuries-old piece of paper. While Crestone's residents were still reeling from forced relocation, W.J. Keim decided the town's troubles presented him with a perfect opportunity. Keim was what frontier communities politely called a difficult character, the kind who saw every crisis as a chance to advance his own interests. In November 1900, Keim built a dam across North Crestone Creek, 2 miles upstream from town, cutting off the flow to all 600 remaining residents. His stated purpose was ice harvesting for personal business. His real purpose seemed to be asserting dominance over neighbors who had already suffered enough. What Keim hadn't counted on was local geology. The ground near his dam was porous, causing impounded water to seep into earth instead of flowing over the dam. The creek simply dried up, leaving Crestone without water for cooking, cleaning, drinking, or survival. For 4 long months, Keim held an entire community hostage. Residents with wells could survive. Those depending on the creek faced genuine hardship. Community leaders tried negotiation, reason, and public pressure. Keim's response was complete defiance of 600 increasingly desperate neighbors. But Crestone's residents were resourceful. If existing water rights laws couldn't touch Keim, they would find another way. Local legal experts researched alternatives, looking for any law that might give them leverage. The solution was both brilliant and unprecedented. If they couldn't prosecute Keim for violating water rights, they could prosecute him for environmental destruction. His dam had killed thousands of fish in what was legally a state waterway. Fish murder might sound like a joke today, but in 1901 it was a serious crime. Deputy Game Warden Henry Moss traveled from Denver to prosecute what became known as the Great Fish Massacre of Crestone Creek. The trial before Justice Lawrence became the social event of the season, with virtually every resident attending to watch their nemesis face justice. The guilty verdict was never in doubt. Keim was fined $25 plus court costs and ordered to post $250 bail. More importantly, he had exactly 10 days to tear down his dam. Keim's response was to swear at the judge, a decision that doubled his bail and landed him in jail. While he sat behind bars, the entire community turned out for a dam destruction party that became local legend. Residents attacked the structure with picks, shovels, and what witnesses described as righteous fury. The grateful community treated the visiting Denver officials like conquering heroes, making both men honorary members of the town's Board of Trade. The water war was over, and Crestone had learned valuable lessons about creative legal thinking and community solidarity. Among the most memorable figures in Crestone's colorful history was John Duncan, originally from Indiana, who became the unofficial mayor of the small community that sometimes bore his name, serving as both its first permanent resident and, eventually, its last. Duncan's reputation for hospitality was legendary throughout the mining district. Any visitor could count on substantial meals featuring fresh hot biscuits, bacon, eggs, and whatever other provisions Duncan could provide. His open-door policy extended to miners, travelers, businessmen, and anyone else needing a meal or place to stay. But Duncan's most endearing characteristic was his passionate love affair with sophisticated vocabulary and his complete inability to use complex words correctly. His malapropisms became legend throughout the mining camps. When planning to expand his home, he proudly announced his intention to build an addition on here for the hostility of my guests. When a friend asked to borrow his new dictionary, Duncan generously replied, "Oh, take it. I've already read it." Duncan's linguistic adventures provided comic relief, but Crestone's history wasn't all humor. The frontier attracted violent men along with peaceful ones. Jim Stewart met his end at the hands of Charles Thompson, a mild-mannered prospector apparently pushed too far. Two women, Mrs. Boyd and Mrs. McFadden, were also killed during Crestone's tumultuous early years, though details have been lost to history. Today, Crestone stands as the sole survivor of what was once a 25-mile strip of mining communities along the Sangre de Cristo Range. The town that died twice and came back both times has finally found sustainable existence, transforming from boom-bust mining economy to a small but stable community that swells with summer visitors and contracts during harsh mountain winters. Join my Patreon community and discover my art print products on my website in the links provided in my description and link above. Also, if you would like a particular image from my videos, give the timestamp for image, and I will upload it to my website and Patreon. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another Southwest Gold story. Check out my large catalog of Southwest videos and playlists on historical tales, legends, lost gold stories, and adult bedtime stories. If you like a certain image from my videos, tell me in comments and give timestamp. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.